Welcome back to the farm. It is another very hot and humid day out there. We had one of our garden days. We picked a lot, as you can see, picked a ton of stuff. Tomatoes, banana peppers, okra, this stuff will kill you. Cucumbers, eggplant. And then I had to go to Tractor Supply to get some bird seed because BJ's was out of it, so we didn't have any. So the ELB wants to put bird seed in the bird feeders. Actually got a couple of new bird feeders as well for the wild birds, and so we got some bird seed. And while I was there, I noticed that they had chickens. Tractor Supply has been carrying chickens a long time now, I guess because everyone's preparing for the apocalypse. Anyway, the ELB has wanted me to get Easter eggers or some other kind of chicken for a long time, because what we have now is ISA browns and golden comets, which both lay brown eggs, which is great. We love our brown eggs. We get lots of eggs. So anyway, while I was there at Tractor Supply, I noticed they had Easter eggers, and they had a couple other breeds, but Easter eggers stood out to me. And so the Flaming Eyeball Farm now has 7 little Easter eggers that we've added to the group. So I'm gonna go out to the shed and get the rabbit hutch ready, and maybe the grow out cage that I used for the quail. For these guys, that'll be plenty of room for all of them to grow them out, and it'll also give me a few weeks time to get a small pen ready so we can start having them outside. But I mean, they obviously won't be outside. They'll be in a cage, and then we can start socializing them with the other chickens, but have a fence in between because we don't need to start establishing pecking orders with chicks. We'll do that with them later on, probably in a couple months as they start getting older. Then we can start putting them next to each other, still not in the same pen, until they can get used to each other, and then we can start intermingling them and so forth. Now supposedly these are all pullets, which means they're all girls. We shall see. If we end up with a rooster out of one of these, I'm actually okay with that, because then we can start raising our own chickens. Now, it'll give us a mixed breed, but if you're wanting to just have the flock reproduce, that's fine. So let's head out to the shed and we'll get things cleaned up. So I've turned the fan off for a little while so we can hear in here, but basically, it's really kind of funny. There are spider webs everywhere in the shed because that's what spiders do, they get in sheds. But because I gave the quail, I gave them some dust bath today, and I put diatomaceous earth in there. That creates a fine powdery dust everywhere, and I had the fan going to blow a lot of it out, but what it did was it blew it all out all around the shed and landed on all of the spider webs that are in here. So it looks like it's a haunted house or something, but it's just that real fine dust that's in there. So I'm gonna get the rabbit hutch out and maybe the grow out cage, and I'll probably use the rabbit hutch because it's easier to get into with a lid that I can open up, as opposed to the grow out cage, which only has this door like this, and that'll be harder to clean it out. Maybe when they get a little bit bigger, I'll put them in there, but for now what I'm gonna do is I'll put them in the rabbit hutch. We have a heater if we need it, but it's warm enough. So I'm gonna put them in the rabbit hutch, and I'll clean this out, and I'll put some of the paper down, and that should be fine for a couple of weeks until we can get to the point where we can take them out of there, and then they'll be fine on the wire cage. Once their feet get big enough, they'll be fine on the wire cage. So I'm gonna take that out and clean this out a little bit, and then we'll get them moved in. We'll get water and food to them. All right, so for now, I set it up with the water. I'll add food in a minute. It's the same food as I feed the quail, which is chick starter. And then I'll put the chicks in here and we'll see how they do. It's about 80 degrees in here now. Got a cloud blow over, and so cooled things off. But what I can do is I will have my heater ready. I'll probably put it in here anyway, just in case they want to go to it. But I won't have it turned on yet. And then when it gets cooler tonight, then I'll see how it's going to work, because it's still pretty warm in here. And I think the chickens can handle it just fine. After all, They're under a heat lamp at Tractor Supply because it's an air-conditioned building. This is not an air-conditioned building, so we'll see how it goes. I'll put them in here and get started. So I don't know if you could tell, but what I did was I dunked them all in the water. Not dunked them all in the water, but I put their beaks in the water so they know where the water is. And right away, since they figured out where the water was, they hopped right on over to the food and said, let's have some of that. So it looks like this feeder is going to be no problem for them to get into. They can hop on it and they'll be eating and starting to grow just fine. So now when you come to buy eggs from the Flaming Eyeball Farm, probably in about 6 months, depending on if they start before winter time or not, we'll start getting colored eggs, blues and greens and light colors of pale tan and white maybe. And that's the fun thing about an Easter egger, is it lays different colored eggs, and depending on the bird. So hopefully we'll get a bunch of different colored eggs out of these guys to add to our collection of brown. Should be fun. All right, stay tuned and thanks for watching. Till next time, cheers.